Julie, welcome to Thriving Beyond Diabetes show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here talking with you today.
It's great to have you with us today. Julie, you have spent over two decades helping people eat better, from like clinical nutrition to the food industry. The question here is, what first drew you to this work, and what keeps you motivated all the time?
When I was in college thinking about what I wanted to do, I had so many contacts in my life, friends, family, that really didn't know how to eat or know that food and what we eat has such a big impact on our health. So I started learning a lot more about it, and that's what really drew me to my career. And I think what has kept me in the industry for so long is the fact that information is changing, that we're always learning more, that there's always more for me to learn. And I think that constant learning and the ability to take that information and translate it to actionable advice and provide it to the people that I'm working with is really what sort of keeps me going.
Brilliant. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing your journey and mission. You have seen the data on how ultra-processed foods impact health, specifically for people with type 2 diabetes. What should we know about these foods, and how or why are they so hard to avoid for some people?
Yeah, so I think something that, maybe we instinctively know, but can be a little bit shocking to hear, is that unhealthy eating and its related diseases now kills more people every year than smoking. So it's a big issue, and what can we do about it, and what's changed? So what has changed over the years that has made unhealthy eating just so detrimental to our health? One thing that's changed is our food supply. In the 1950s, supermarkets had between 5 and 10,000 products. Now they have as many as 60,000 products. It's not that we've invented 50,000 new fruits and vegetables. It's all about convenience, packaged foods. Over 70% of all products available in supermarkets are ultra-processed. And ultra-processed foods, like you mentioned, are linked to over 32 different diseases, including diabetes. And ultra-processed foods, for every 10% increase in ultra-processed food consumption, that correlates to an increased risk of type 2 diabetes by 17%. So those are all a lot of statistics, but I think it's also important to take a step back and say, what is an ultra-processed food? It's sort of a newer topic, something that's been in the news for a couple of years. It's becoming more mainstream, but I think there's still a little confusion around what it is. So I'd love to just give you some information on that. First, it's something that we wouldn't typically have in our home kitchen. Maybe it's something your grandparents wouldn't even recognize as food. And there is a difference between something being processed and something being ultra-processed. Processed can be very helpful and beneficial. It can be fresh fruits and vegetables being frozen or canned, wheat being ground into flour for pasta, cereal, milk being made into yogurt or cheese. But it becomes ultra-processed when we add things that are not healthy, like additives, dyes, preservatives, and those are added to improve appearance, shelf life, or taste, but usually are not adding any nutritional value. They're created to be inexpensive, highly palatable, and unfortunately, those foods are often addictive.
Brilliant. Very interesting information. You shared a lot. Some of the data or the stats that you mentioned, the food supply counts about 60 thousand, and the ultra processed foods has like a market share about 60%. That is a huge number. And when you talk about ultra processed foods and diseases, you're talking about 32, not just one health condition. That scary. And finally, you mentioned that when we say processed, sometimes it is required to digest or eat the food. So it's not, when we say processed, it doesn't mean all the time a bad thing. Is that correct?
You're absolutely correct. There's a difference between processing and ultra processing. Processing can be beneficial. Ultra processing almost never is.
Brilliant. Thank you for confirming that. Let's move to the next point. I think food labels can be confusing and additives are everywhere. My question here is, what should we look out for, and how can we simplify label reading without feeling like paranoid?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. One is that I work for a company called GoCoCo. We have an app where you can scan the label of any food in the supermarket, and it tells you on a scale of 1 to 10 how nutritious that food is. And also it tells you how many ultra processed markers are in there and what those ultra processed markers are, what they mean. It also gives you some category product swaps. Like if you scan a cereal and your cereal has a low score, it will give you some cereals that scored much higher right within the same category. So instead of just alarming people, we're aiming to educate people. So we're providing information as to why it gets the score it gets, what are those ultra processed markers, and what can I eat that's healthier. We want to make healthier eating easier, but we also want to educate so that we're helping people learn how to do it easier on their own as well. We also have a feature in the app that you can take a picture of anything that you've eaten, and it'll tell you what percentage of fruits and vegetables there are, how many carbohydrates there are, what percentage of that meal is ultra processed. You can track it over time so that you can kind of see how your patterns. And it also, again, gives you a lot of education. If you scan something and it's full of refined grains and low in protein, it'll give you some tips on how you can choose whole grains and add some protein to help balance blood sugars. There's a lot of really healthy information in there. And then a tip that I really like for label reading is if you look at the ingredients, you want to see things you can pronounce. You want to see things that you recognize as food. You don't want to see an ingredient list that takes up, multiple inches of real estate on that package with a bunch of ingredients that you can't pronounce. That's a pretty good clue that there's a lot of ultra processed ingredients in there.
Brilliant. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that information. So we need to read labels, but sometimes it's difficult to understand them and the impact that can have on our health. And you said that the app that you have help with like understanding labels and finding additives in the food. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly correct.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. Before we talk a little bit more about the app, let's talk about the progress that we can make when we want to improve our health. Many people feel overwhelmed trying to eat healthy. So the question is, how do you help someone start small and build habits that stick?
I think you answered part of that question for me. I always advocate for starting small. When I work with people one-on-one, We take a look at their whole day, everything they eat, everything they drink, how much are they sleeping, things like that. And we identify one place where we can start. So is it a really sugary drink in the morning instead of a breakfast? What can we do to make a substitution there? Is it skipping dinner because you're too busy? What can we do that's quick and easy to get it on the table for you and the family so that you are eating dinner? So it depends person by person, but I definitely advocate for starting with one small change and building upon those small changes. And if we go back to the example with the GoCoCo app, if you're taking pictures of your meals and the app is giving you personalized advice on some changes you can make, it'll also tell you over time if you're accomplishing those goals. Are you reducing your consumption of ultra-processed foods? Are you increasing your consumption of fruits and vegetables? So that's not only is it helping you make a change, but it's also tracking your progress and helping you stick with the change.
Brilliant. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. So the key point here is to start small and make small wins. So it's not like a big step, but you take it slowly. It becomes then a habit over time. You mentioned a little bit about the GoCoCo app, which helps with blood control. I think this is very helpful for people with type 2 diabetes. And I found that some of the key features are food scan, real food tracker, and food lists. If you can give us an overview about these top 3 features.
Yeah, I'd love to. And I think also something interesting is when we started at GoCoCo, we didn't know that type 2 diabetes was going to be our focus. We started the app just thinking that we could help everybody eat healthier, but we listen to our audience. We are always taking their feedback and taking their suggestions. And what we found out from talking with our users is that the people who were seeing the biggest benefits from our app were people that were living with type 2 diabetes. So we set out to improve the features in the app that we had and make them even more effective for people living with type 2 diabetes. So we actually, in addition to the features you just mentioned, which I'll talk a little bit about, we also launched something called the Diabetes Alert that you can opt in or opt out of depending on what you prefer. And if you scan a food, like you mentioned, we have a food scanner. If you scan a food and it's something that's high in refined carbohydrates, high in sugar, low in protein, it'll give you an alert and tell you why that might not be the ideal choice for you. But again, we're here to educate, not judge or, tell you what to do. So it gives you the information and then you can make the choice that's best for you or your family based on the information that we provide. So in addition to that diabetes alert, when you scan a food item, you'll also get a score of 1 to 10 based on the nutrients, and you'll get information about the ultra-processed markers that are in the foods you're choosing. And again, it'll let you, it gives you the information, it lets you choose what's best for you. The real food tracker is what I was mentioning, where you can take the picture of any snack, meal, anything you're eating, and it analyzes what you have. And it's really very accurate, so it gives you a great description of what you're eating and some suggestions on how you can make it even healthier. And then the lists, that's a feature that I really like and our users really like. That gives you could type in cereal into the app and it'll list the healthiest cereals by category and also by store. So if you shop at Whole Foods or a Walmart, whatever store you shop at, you can find the healthiest cereals by that store. So some really helpful features inside of the app to help people living with type 2 diabetes and to help everyone in general.
Brilliant. Very interesting. And the food tracker is based on data. Is that correct?
Yes, it's based on what you are eating. So it scans what you're eating. It tells you the grams of carbohydrates, the grams of protein, the percentage of fruits and vegetables, the percentage of ultra-processed foods, and makes suggestions based on your goals.
Brilliant. Very interesting. Just one thing about the app. Who is behind it? Is like nutritionists or health activists? Or if you can give us an idea about that.
Yeah, the app launched in Spain originally. We have a team in Spain, including dietitians, and then we have the team in the US, which includes me as a dietitian with the team. And it's been about 5 years now since the app is launched. We launched in the US about 2 years ago. We have over 80,000 foods in the database that you can scan. We have hundreds of thousands of users. And like I said, we're always improving the app. So we actually encourage our users to reach out to us with their feedback and thoughts, because we want to continue to improve and make it better. And that's what we've been doing over time.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that as well. And the great thing is that you have got one special feature for people with diabetes, which is diabetes alert. That is great. How can our audience access or get the app?
So it's available from iOS or Android. It's called GoCoCo, and that stands for Go Conscious Consumer, because again, we're here to educate. So you can download it from there. Our website is gococo.app, and we are actually offering a special for your audience. There's a free version of the app which has all those features that we mentioned, but there's also a premium version of the app that has unlimited all of those scans and tracking and everything we mentioned, expanded versions of the list, some more lessons and recipes and things. And that premium version we're giving to your audience completely free of charge with code THRIVING, which we'll put in the show notes as well, with exact information on how to download it, how to get it, and how to get that discount.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that information and giving a discount code to our audience, so people can find it in the show note as well. Before we wrap up this episode, do you have a final message you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah, I think it's important. It can feel overwhelming, like we've talked about a little bit today. And I think that's something that I always like to share with people. It can feel overwhelming to change your health, or to know who to believe, know who to trust. And that's why I think it's important to listen to experts like dietitians, people in the healthcare field, and also to take it day by day and step by step. If you make one small change starting today, don't need to wait till tomorrow. You can make a change starting today, and you keep up with that change. And then once that becomes a habit, you add on another small change. Over time, you'll have made a lot of healthy changes to your eating pattern without feeling so overwhelmed or like you're missing out on things. So starting small, sticking with it, and building on it is what I really like to help people to implement.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing your final message. Where can people reach you or learn more about your work?
Yeah, so our website, gococo.app, will give you all of the information, how to get in touch with any of us at the company. And like I said, we're always open to user feedback. So please do head over there and reach out to us.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing your contact information. That brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you, Julie Ruelle, for sharing helpful tips and insight. Thank you, everyone, for watching or listening to this episode. If you need additional guidance, you can book a call at wellnessimpact.org. If you found value in today's discussion, join our thriving community and subscribe or follow us for more insights and strategies. Until next time, take care of your health and keep thriving.